Hello everyone, there's been a tag floating around recently, the 6 Disappointing Games tag, and I thought I'd give it a go. So first up, we have Tenchu Stealth Assassins. Now as you can see from the back, the graphics are quite good, it's quite colourful and it's covered in blood. But unfortunately, according to Wikipedia, all of the levels take place at night to compensate for the technical limitations of the PlayStation, which as you can see on this screenshot over here, means you can't see very far. And in a stealth game, when you're trying to sneak up on people, and by the time you can actually see them, they can already see you, means that it's almost impossible. So you spend most of the game running up to people and trying to kill them before they can call for backup, or running away from them, and I just didn't find that fun. Secondly, we have Rayman 2, and I always liked Rayman 1 because it was a really good 2D platformer, and I knew that Rayman 3 was a 3D platform I didn't enjoy that much, but Rayman 2, I thought, because it was on the PlayStation 1, was also a 2D game. When I bought it the other day and saw a screenshot of him in 3D, I was quite gutted. Now this may not be justified because I haven't actually played the game, and it has been in some of the best games of all time lists, but I would have much preferred a 2D game. And when it was in very early development, it actually was a 2D game, and the first level of the beta of this is actually unlockable in the PlayStation version. And also, it originally came with a digital watch, which is really cool. Next up, we have Army of Two: The 40th Day. When I played the original Army of Two co-op with my brother, I really enjoyed it. It was just like Gears of War and all those other kind of games, and they were really fun. So I was really chuffed to find out they were making a sequel to Army of Two. And when I bought this, I put it in, and we both watched it, and the graphics, they weren't that great. We thought they were something that could be on the Wii, and they just weren't good enough for the powerful Xbox. And also, the split screen on this is absolutely terrible. If you pretend that this is your screen, cut it in half, split screen, that's fair enough, and then have a guy here on either side, which is your guy, so now you can only see like this much of the screen, and you could tell that even the developers didn't think this was a good idea, because they made it so that when you press R3, your character switches sides so that you can see different sides, because it just gets impossible to aim and to actually see what you're doing. And that was just so boring, and we just decided after like playing it for about half an hour we weren't having fun, so we just turned it off. And what we did find though was that morality moments, they spiced it up a bit and made it a bit more fun. But I guess I'm a bit biased because I spent £17 on this game, and usually I spend like £1 or £2 on a game, so this was just really expensive to me and it wasn't a good enough game, so I was quite disappointed. Now we have UFC 2009 Undisputed. And although this is in a Disappointing Games tag, this isn't actually a bad game. I really enjoyed it. I love fighting games, and this one is brilliant. It's got really good graphics and it controls really well. The only thing is the demo that came out was really good, and I couldn't stop playing that. I literally got addicted to that. I played that every day for like 2 or 3 months before I actually got the game. But when I did get the game, it turns out that pretty much everything was in the demo. The two characters, one of them was Muay Thai and the other one was kickboxing as their stand-up game, but the only other fighting style is boxing, and I didn't like that because you didn't have the awesome head kicks that you could knock people out with. So I played with the two characters that had the two fighting styles I did like in the demo already, and I played that to death, so there wasn't really much new. And the ground game of this game is actually really bad. You take people down and you can't get into the position you want. It's really hard to tell it what you want it to do, because sometimes I'll be trying to mount him, do a full mount so that I could pin him down and just beat the guy, but then it would think I'm trying to swivel around, so it would put me in the wrong position, and then I'd have to do even more to get back to where I was so that I can try again. And when you did finally get into there, often you'd try and tell him to sit up so that you could start punching him, and then he'd just dismount, and that was just really boring and really infuriating. The other thing is this game is the only game that's ever caused an injury to me, because when you're on the ground, you have to spin when you're getting pinned, you have to spin the right analog stick in circles to try not to get hurt. So I would put my palm on it and spin it really quickly so that no one would ever be able to pin me. The only thing was though, this would give me blisters on my palm, so this got to the stage where I actually wanted to keep playing, but I couldn't because my hand was too damaged and the blisters hurt too much. I later found out that you can just spam the buttons instead, and if you do that, you actually hit them as well, which is actually better, but by then I'd already formed calluses on my hand. Anyway. Next up, we have Red Steel on Wii. And as a launch title, I was really excited about this before the Wii actually came out. I was following it since it was called The Revolution, and I thought it sounded like the best thing ever. It was going to be so good. I was really looking forward to it. It was going to revolutionise the way we play games. It was going to be absolutely amazing. And unfortunately, the name change I do not agree with. It was really bad, and now the console, well, it's quite fitting how they ruined the name, a bit like they ruined the console, because they released it. They could have made it more powerful so that it would actually work. If they're going to have a really high-tech control scheme, they need to have a high-tech console, and I just didn't really find it that good. But when the Wii did come out, I've not played a Zelda game before, so I wasn't really a big fan of that, and Red Steel seemed like the only good game that was coming out on launch for me, and I was really excited to get it. And when I did get my Wii, it was the first game I picked up, and I played it, and the graphics, they're alright. They're like a PS2 game style graphics, really. The only thing I didn't like, though, was that even though it's cel-shaded, it's still not up to scratch. Really, the thing that ruined it for me, though, was the controls. Because when you get into the sword fights, you couldn't really... It wasn't that sensitive. It wouldn't register your moves all the time. And throughout the most of the game, it was alright. You would block an attack, try and knock them off their guard, and then attack them. And having a health bar for both man and sword also gave quite a good strategy element to the game. But towards the end of the game, the enemies would have developed unblockable attacks that you had to dodge, and the dodging wasn't that great, because you had to actually move and you couldn't just push a button. So it was quite hard to do, and when they kept hitting you every single time, and you couldn't pull off your moves, it became really hard to win. And then in the penultimate level, you had 3 sword fights in a row without saving between, so it got really hard. You do the first guy, and he wasn't that bad. And then you go into the second fight, when you wouldn't have that much health, and it took me a little while, and then I was actually able to get through that. But by the time I came to the third fight, I had such little health, I could never make it through. I actually had to buy a strategy guide to get me through it, and it didn't even give me any help. It just said, like, win this fight. And when I managed to actually do it, it turns out I was 1 level away from the end, so I wasted all that money on a strategy guide for nothing. I was pretty disappointed with that, and it was just because they couldn't program for the Wii yet, and the sensitivity wasn't that great on it either. But hopefully, Red Steel 2 should be so much better. I haven't got it yet, but I hope to get it soon, and I can't wait. Last up, we have Wario Land The Shake Dimension, or Wario Land Shake It in America. And this game, it was just really samey. Every level, there wasn't that much, other than the background, there wasn't that much diversity. There were a few different things, but there just wasn't enough. And the motion controls were so unnecessary. Like, you didn't really need to be able to smack the ground, and you definitely didn't need to shake the remote to do it. The only one that I thought was alright was tipping the Wiimote. That was to aim, like when you're throwing something. That was alright. Didn't really mind that. But the worst part was the objectives, how it would force you to do the same thing over and over again, so that you could try and do it this time, doing it as quickly as possible, this time getting as much coins as possible, this time killing this enemy. And it just, while that usually is good in a game, I just didn't like playing it, so I didn't want to play it multiple times, trying to do slightly different things. I just found it boring. Anyway, that is my 6 disappointing games. I hope you